Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Maximum warp. Punch it. Punch it.
Punch it, Bishop!
Punch it.
Punch that shit!
Let's punch it.
Hello, everybody. This is Punch It, episode 17. I'm Tristan Riddell, and with me, as always, is
Charlene Schmidt.
Charlene. It is good to be back because I have been gone for a couple weeks now. And what did I miss?
You missed a fantastic talk with my husband, where we talked Beavis and Butthead, which I know you have no interest in ever doing, which is why we did it. And I feel like we did a very good job. And then also, I talked with SETI Alpha 3's very own Philip Gilfus about the intricacies of writing Babylon 5, and that really pumped me up because we will carry over that conversation over to Filibuster, where we will review every season as we go with our rewatch. And we are getting close to finishing the end of the first season. That will be coming up very soon. Now, that said, it's good to have you back. I missed you.
I missed you too. It's really great to be back because you and I have, even though we haven't been podcasting together, we've still been talking and texting and everything like that because we're friends.
Of course.
And it was funny because just the other day when we were talking about what we were going to do this week and picking it back up, I made the realization, I was like, wow, in the past 4 or 5 years that you and I have been podcasting together, we have never gone this long without podcasting with each other. We've taken a week off here and there. We've taken some holidays off and everything like that, but I don't think we've ever taken more than 2 weeks off in a row from each other.
No, this is the very first time that's happened and I cannot believe it's been something like 5 years. Have we really been doing this that long? Oh my gosh. But yes, we have. But you know what? If there was ever to be a reason for a prolonged absence, this was a very good reason, because I had the wonderful luxury, and I'm sorry, this is bad podcasting, but I'm just so tickled over the moment. I have to share it. I got to see baby Riddell, you guys, and she is adorable. She's just a sweet little thing of a baby, you know. She looks like the little doll.
She is very much in doll form right now, and for those of you who have been following me online on Twitter at the Insane Robin, some of you have a little bit of the story of what happened. It's kind of dramatic, but she's home, she's healthy, and she's good, and we're good. Everything's good. The girl is good. But if you guys want a full update, you can listen to our latest episode of Nerd Nuptial by going to thenerdparty.com/nerdnuptial and checking it out from there. And that'll give you a big chunk of the story and an understanding of what's going on. Now, Char, even though I wasn't here, I did listen to the episodes. I listened to Punch It.
Oh, you did? Oh, good.
And it's really funny because, like you said, you once talked to me and said, like, we should do Beavis and Butthead, and I said no. And
and I'm like, why?
You're like, fine, screw you. I'm gonna do it with my husband then. And
yes.
What's really funny is in the first episode that you talked about of Beavis and Butthead was the only episode I've seen.
Oh, really?
Seriously, like I've seen a handful of clips and I've seen one full episode, and the full episode that I've seen was Pregnant Pause, where Beavis thought he was pregnant because, oh my God, you can get yourself pregnant?
Yes, exactly. Oh no!
And so I just thought that was so funny that's the first thing you talk about. I'm just like, of course, that's the one that I've seen.
How strange is that? And it's also my husband's favorite episode. If anything, if you had to see any episode, I'm glad you saw that one. It really is one of the best.
And Patrick did a fantastic job. I mean, he should come on again. You should do filibusters with him in the future.
Okay, well, we'll keep that in mind for the future, and I'll pass on the compliment.
Please do. Please do. All right. Well, folks, the wait is over. Your Punch It team is together again.
Triumphant return!
We're also doing a part 2 of something that we started a couple of weeks ago. Actually, well, sort of a part 2. It's kind of a continuation, kind of an offshoot, kind of a tangent. Think of it as another story in the life that is Lieutenant Jae.
Yes.
And if you remember, what we did was Lieutenant Jae is that background character that you know, you love, and whether you recognize the name or not, you know that you've seen her. If you have seen Star Trek The Next Generation, she is the one with a very interesting haircut. It's kind of a...
faux hawk.
I don't want to say mohawk, but kind of like a faux hawk type deal. And she's everywhere. She's awesome. And I personally love the character. I have a lot of headcanons about the character. And we just talked about like her backstory about how she had Starfleet parents. She moved from base to base, and she went and studied species relations and as well as not anthropology.
No, that was a hobby. She was into more kind of like intergalactic diplomacy, but then switched career tracks to include more engineering type stuff.
Right.
And now I'm channeling Carl Sagan. I don't know why.
Billions and billions.
If you weren't going to say it, I was.
So yeah, that's just everybody should go back and listen to it. It's a really fun episode. We had a lot of fun doing it, but we ended the episode saying that we were going to continue the story because I have had it in my head for a very long time, ever since the episode Schisms in season 6, that Captain Picard and Lieutenant Jae had a secret but tawdry love affair.
Oh, how interesting is this? I mean, I knew you had an idea, but I had no idea it went back that far and that long. Wow. Ooh, okay, my curiosity is piqued. And here's the thing is I've got a kernel of an idea, too, about where exactly this romance is going to go. Because that's what we're going to do today, essentially, is we are going to write about this romance that Captain Picard and Lieutenant Jae had, however it existed. And so, as you said earlier, this is a bit of a continuation. It's also its new thing. It's a little bit of both. And we were planning on doing it straight away right after that last episode, but then Baby Riddell decided to come, and so I feel like we're catching up, and we're finally getting on track.
It's true. And in regards to this relationship, because we ended the episode with the idea that when Jae first came on board, she goes to the captain's ready room, which is customary when you're a new officer and it's the first time on the ship. You go and you meet the captain. You introduce yourself. You say, like, hey, I'm the person such and such, and it's great to work with you, blah, blah, blah. And in that scene, we saw some sparks, where they struck up a conversation where it wasn't all just duty and everything like that. They clearly had a chemistry, and he was very much intrigued by her because she's like one of her hobbies is anthropology and archaeology and things like that. And so it was obviously Picard was interested, and nothing weird happened there. It was just like, oh, cool. You noticed that there was a connection.
Yeah, they geeked out a little bit. And I think the story that we came up with was she recognized an artifact that Picard had in his ready room, and he was intrigued. Oh, you know about this? And so they had this fantastic, deep conversation about some sort of archaeological artifact, and that is what started their bond. So we're going to take it from there.
Now, I am itching to know what your idea is, because it better be a good one. In my brain, when it comes to shipping characters who have never really had that romance on screen, it goes Chakotay and Janeway, and then Captain Picard and Jae. Like that is where it is in my brain. Yeah.
Oh, this is high up. Pressure is on. Wow. This is another thing I did not know. Okay, so here's the thing, Tristan, is it's not necessarily a specific idea. I have kind of an umbrella for how we can structure the story, and then we can fill in the details in between. So do you just want me to pitch what I've got?
Go for it.
Okay, so what I'm thinking is I don't want Jae and Picard to have necessarily a direct romance. I want it to be one of those things where if in another life, a different situation, yeah, maybe we could do this, but you know what? Right now, with this as things are right now, with him as the captain of the ship and maybe just being as they are in general, this isn't going to work. But they had some time together, and what I'm thinking is maybe they had some sort of experience on an away mission or something, or just some sort of circumstance where they were maybe in a very intimate setting, maybe in some sort of alternate dimension, maybe they were mind controlled. There's a lot of ways we could go through it, and I did not pick any which one because I thought we could explore several if any of them piqued your interest or not. And the thing is maybe they have that very intimate experience together, but then when they come back to real life, we can't do this.
I kind of had something similar where I think we can definitely build off of that, because in my mind, what I wanted to do was I wanted to build it up at the beginning. Like, so let's just craft an episode. Let's say that this is an episode of TNG.
Okay.
I think that will make it the easiest on us.
Agree.
Where, instead of like plotting out this entire long thing, like we can do a self-contained story. And so this is an episode of TNG. One thing that I was thinking is that we build up to it where we show the beginnings of something, like maybe in the first act or the second act of the episode. And then they go on that away mission, because we see Lieutenant Jae fly the ship. I mean, she works on operations, and then later on we see her fly the ship. I don't know if we see it in TNG or if we see it in Generations, one of the two first. I can't remember. But let's just say that she knows how, okay?
Okay.
And so for some reason, because we see this all the time where, Wesley once flew Picard around, and, we see two people away missions all the time. So what if they did something like that? So
yeah,
until we get there, let's build it up first. So, but you and I can determine what's going to happen in that away mission. Are they going to crash? Are they going to have to survive on a desolate planet? Are they going to get captured? Are they going to have a first contact? Are
right.
What's going to go on? So let's figure that out.
A lot of options. Okay, I want to vote down two things right off the bat, just because they've been done before and it's way too reminiscent of other things that we've seen. Shuttle crash and stranded on a planet.
All right.
Because Janeway and Chakotay had that well covered.
That's true.
So let's give them a more unique experience, whatever this may be. I do like the idea of them maybe getting captured and being put under mind control, maybe with a sprinkling of first contact. Maybe this is a new species. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know if I'm digging on the mind control, because at the beginning of the episode, I want to show that it's there. That relationship is there. At least that friendship is there, that common ground. And we know that both parties are interested.
Mm-hmm.
And in this situation, maybe things go too far, or they almost go too far, or maybe things went too far on the Enterprise and they decided to break it off, but then all of a sudden they had to go on an away mission together, and things got super awkward.
I don't really like that idea either, just because we saw Picard do that with, what was her name? Lieutenant Commander Darren, where they took things a little too far, and then the burden of command was, he just couldn't balance a relationship with that, and they decided no.
Well, that one was different because they weren't on the away mission together.
Yeah.
She was on an away mission, and he had a hard time because he had to make decisions that could affect her life. So actually, maybe we should get rid of the away mission. Maybe we should get rid of the shuttle, because maybe that's a little bit too reminiscent of Lieutenant Darren.
Okay, idea. Maybe they are just going out together in a shuttle for fun, maybe for some sort of archaeology-related thing. That's what's bringing them together. Let's just, maybe they discover some ancient artifact on X planet that belongs to this civilization, and they're in close proximity, so the Enterprise is in no hurry right now. They're going to go down and they're going to check it out, because why not? They can take a couple days of shore leave.
Okay, I like this idea. I like this idea a lot, because we never really saw TNG do shore leave. I mean, we saw Riker and Troy do some shore leave on Beta Z,
and Risa.
But nothing really that great. I mean, we saw Picard do Risa and everything like that. So let's go down this path. We have the goal, we have the idea. So let's just, and whatever happens along the way. So let's go ahead and start. We got the whiteboard going here. We're post-schisms.
So this is season 6-ish?
I think this has to be season 6, because we want to establish that they've been around each other for a long time now. So this is, I think Jay first came on board around season 4.
That sounds about right.
And so we're season 6, we're 2 years in, and what's going on here? Where is Picard? What is he doing? Where are they meeting up?
Well, aren't they taking a shuttle together?
We need to work up to that, I think. We need to establish what's going on first in the episode, because we got to build up to that. Are we just saying maybe we just open with Captain Picard giving his log, saying, hey, we're on such and such planet. Everybody's taking some much needed shore leave. I, however, am going to stay behind.
Maybe so. we could do that because Picard is a little stubborn about shore leave. That makes some sense. So how about this? What if Jae approaches Captain Picard about this? Look, over on the star system over, next door, they just unveiled this thing. Do you want to come check it out with me? I was thinking of taking my days of shore leave to go do that. And he's far too intrigued to say no.
Okay, I like that. So we hear Captain Picard's log and we see him walking down. Riker stops him and says, like, hey, are you sure we can't? Maybe Riker and Troy find him in the hallway, the corridor. They say, like, are you sure we can't twist your arm to come down? He said, he's like, no, there's really nothing there for me to do. Like, that's all fine. And
right. He's not going to go skiing, doesn't really care too much about going to the beach. You're not going to convince him to do anything.
And so as he's walking down the corridor, the turbo lift opens up and it's Lieutenant Jae. And Captain Picard is very pleased to see her. The camera is on his face. Like, we see her face, she smiles. We see his face, he smiles. And so right off the bat, this is not just the captain nodding his head saying, hello, crewman. Nothing like that.
Right. Yes, I really like that because it establishes that they have something of a friendship going on at this point, and they are pleased to see each other.
Yes, very much so. And so he calls her by name and says, like, Lieutenant Jae, how are you doing? It's been a while since I've seen you. And she's like, yeah, it has been a while. I mean, I think the last time we saw each other was 2 weeks ago at the such and such gala or something like that, or I don't know, like some sort of
Data's poetry reading.
There you go. Yeah. Like okay. Maybe we can go back to that where a little bit where Lieutenant Jae says, like, yeah, I haven't seen you since you convinced me to go to Data's poetry reading.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. So you know what? Now this is her turn to push him into doing something.
Yes. And so they're writing it together, and she asks him, hey, are you going down to the planet? He's like, no, there's really nothing for me there. And
he asks her plans. And then she is so excited, she's so giddy. I just found out about such and such on the next star system over, and I'm going to take off at 1500 later today. And then it occurs to her, maybe, you ought to come with me if you're not going down to the other planet. Hey, Captain Picard, huh?
Let me tweak that just a little bit.
Okay, what you got?
So what I'm thinking is that she asks him, he says nothing, and then there's a little bit of silence, and he asks her, and then she says, she's like, well, what I want to do is, like, it's just a few systems over is this really awesome planet. It has a really rich culture. There was just a dig excavation. They're, revealing some of the finds just now. But and she kind of trails off, and he's like, but what? He's like, that sounds amazing. She's like, well, I couldn't get a shuttle requisition in order to get over there.
Ooh.
Jae knows what she's doing.
She knows he can help her.
She says something to the effect of, you convinced me to go to Data's poetry reading. Maybe I can convince you to come with me to this planet. But then again, we wouldn't have a shuttle.
Captain's yacht.
Exactly. That's where I was going. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That's the thing. And
yeah,
so
here's the idea. All the shuttles are being used to maybe go back and forth because for whatever reason they can't transport everybody. Some weird techie tech thing. They've got to go use shuttles.
Or something like that. Yeah.
All the shuttles are active. They're being busy. She missed out, but they're still the captain's yacht.
That is exactly where I was going. Where
I love it.
There's this long pause. She starts to smirk and look away. He's looking the opposite direction. It suddenly comes to him, and he's like, that sounds really great. And it just so happens that I have a yacht. and
she's just, oh, really?
Yeah. And she's like, I completely forgot about the captain's yacht. And he's like, yeah, I'm sure that you did. And
yes, I love this idea too of them having a little bit of playful banter.
Yeah. So they have that back and forth. They both know what they're talking about. But it's interesting because all of a sudden they're really chummy. They're laughing. They're smiling. And the audience is like, whoa, this is a really flirty Captain Picard. And then all of a sudden the smile goes away and he goes, it would be nice to have a colleague go with me. He kind of downgrades it just a little bit.
She's got to call him on that.
I don't think she calls him. I think she does, but not right away. But like she says something a little passive aggressive. I think she's like, yes, colleagues. And then doors open or the close or whatever. And then we see the credits.
Okay. That's very cool. Let's just keep right on rolling. I think we're crafting something pretty good here.
I think so.
All right, so in the yacht.
We're in the yacht, and they're on their way. So in this TNG episode, we see the captain's yacht on the Enterprise D disembark for the first and only time.
Dig it.
And then they're on their way. So what are they talking about? What kind of conversations are they having in the yacht? Are we in the yacht, or are we already on the planet? What are we doing?
I think we do have at least, I would say, one scene. We have one scene where they are in the yacht, they're talking, because maybe it's going to take a little bit of time to transport over there via the captain's yacht, since it is a star system over. So I have a feeling this would be a good time to maybe set a primer for this artifact. What do they know about it? What is there to see? What is its historical and cultural significance? That sort of thing.
They're talking about the culture. They're talking about the planet. They're talking about why it's important. I like that. We got to bring it back to some sort of personal aspect. Does Picard bring something up about its past? Does Jae bring up something about her past? There's got to be some sort of personal connection to this event.
Here's an idea I'm just going to throw at you and see if it sticks. What if there's something really interested about, let's say this is a very ancient culture, and maybe thousands upon thousands of years ago, there was something I want to say a little mystical, otherworldly, maybe even telekinetic, type of thing, just a little bit beyond the physical realm, and that appeals to her. And Picard is interested because, for one thing, he never heard about her interest in this before. But then, why in the world would that interest you, Jae? You're such a logical mind. I don't know. Is that interesting at all?
I think that might be adding a layer of obfuscation unnecessarily.
Okay.
I don't know. What's your end game, though, on that? Like, what's...
Okay, my thought behind that is maybe there is something that's going to... I know you aren't interested into the mind control, but maybe this affects them. Going to the dig site somehow affects them as humans that is unanticipated.
You keep doing that. You keep coming. I want these emotions to be real. I want these feelings to be real. You've been hinting at this since we started about mind control and change. No. I want the struggle to be real with Captain Picard and his feelings towards this woman.
Okay, and my whole idea is they could have completely genuine emotions, but like I would say in non-real circumstances, if that makes any sense. They're not having a relationship on the Enterprise. This is, I almost want to say, a different life in a way. So, and we don't have to go with that idea at all. But that's sort of the kernel of the idea that I initially came in with.
Here's what we can do. Bear with me, because I feel like maybe I can find a solution to what you want, but also to what I want.
Okay.
All right, so instead of having it be a personal connection in the yacht, what they're talking about is, like what they're going to find. They're like, I can't wait to see this exhibition. I saw little bits and pieces of it when I was a kid, and it always fascinated me when I went to this museum. I can't believe I'm going to get to see a complete collection on the actual world that it's from. They're just kind of geeking out back and forth. And that's when it's revealed, this might be a stretch when maybe you can take this kernel of an idea and form it into something realistic within the realms of Star Trek. What if this planet, the reason why this stuff is so rare and not seen widely throughout the Federation, is that this is a pocket of space that is neutral. This is not a part of the Federation, although it is surrounded by Federation space. So it's not like the neutral zone next to the Romulans or the Klingons or anything like that. Like it's just a pocket of space, kind of like the Ferengis, where it may be surrounded by Federation space, but it is separate. It is apart. It stands apart. And so,
yeah, I like that. Sort of like an unincorporated part of a larger city.
There you go. Yeah. And so Jae brings that up, and she goes, well, how do you feel about leaving Federation space? And he's like, well, it's no big deal. I mean, we're on peaceful terms with these people, and they're letting us come in. And she's like, yeah, but that Federation law has no bearing on this world, and so you will have no station. And he's like, so what you're trying to tell me is that I'm not the captain and you're not a lieutenant. And she goes, no, we won't be.
Ooh, so it's just Jean-Luc and Jae.
It's just Jean-Luc and Jae.
So I kind of see where you're going. This is the catalyst for them to try a romance.
Yes, it lets the audience know that it can sneak in, and maybe this is the quote-unquote vacation that Captain Picard needs, because it is not only a vacation from the ship, it is a vacation from his station. And so this is how he can rectify it in his own brain, where this is no longer my subordinate while we're on this world. So basically, it's Captain Picard's hall pass.
That needs to be the title of the episode, hands down.
Oh, you know it. That's right when I said it, I was like, yeah, that's the title of the show.
That's it. I like that. So, one question. Are they going to talk about this being kind of like a one-time thing before they jump in or after?
I think it's all going to be subtext. It's all going to be understated. It's all underneath the conversation. Nothing is explicit yet.
Okay.
Until it needs to be.
That's going to lead to the question, of course, of when is it going to need to be? When they get back on the Enterprise or sooner? We're going to have to get there.
Oh, yeah. It can't be when they get back on the Enterprise. It has to be when they're on the world. I'm just saying it can't be during the yacht conversation. This conversation just establishes, it gives the kernel of the idea to the audience.
I like it. Okay. My initial thought is maybe we save the whole conversation for when they're heading back and they realize kind of, oh yeah, this is over now.
I think we can have that conversation. I think you and I are talking about two different things.
Maybe. Okay. Sometimes this happens. I don't know why. But anyway, okay. So, subtext. They're going to test the waters a little bit. Maybe they've always wanted to, but have restrained themselves because of duty, Starfleet, all of that, and rank. Yeah. This is their chance. How fast do they do this? Are they going to jump right in, or are they going to play a little?
I don't think it is possible for Captain Picard to jump right in. He needs to warm up, and I think she needs to be an aggressive personality, but not abrasive, not in your face, just...
No, I know how you mean. She needs to make the moves.
Yes, I think, because Captain Picard, like, even if he's more receptive to it now, he'll never be the first person to make the move. And so, let's say, like, we have the scene on the yacht, and let's establish where they're staying. Okay, so they have rooms right next to each other. They go to the hotel, and...
There's a hotel by a dig site?
Well, I think this is a large exhibition. They got to stay somewhere.
Let's say there's a nearby city that has civilized stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm not saying, like, there's a dig site and then there's this 5-star hotel. I'm just saying, like, this is a world, this is a functioning world that has warp capabilities and everything like that, but they also have ruins.
Right. No, I just had to clarify that, because the initial thought in my head was like this Hilton next to something like the Great Pyramids, where you have this massive dig site, and it just did not mesh.
So they go and they check in and they do the whole business. And he's like, hey, where's your room? And he says, floor 1502. And she's like, oh, I'm 1504. And that's right across the hall. And then she's like, let's go get changed, and, like, I'll meet you at the shuttle to take us to the dig site. And so that way we establish where they're staying and everything like that. And so they head on over to the dig site. They're going together, and they see the whole exhibition, and it's really awesome. It's really fun. And they're just so enthralled with what they're seeing. It's kind of like when Professor Galen gave Captain Picard that really old artifact, and it had all those little voices inside. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, like, you saw him geek out. He was just like, oh my God. Like, he was just floored with what he was seeing. That kind of sentimentality and excitement comes out again, and Jade notices it. And she calls him on it and says, like, I am so happy to see you this happy. I never thought that you would be this happy. And he said, he's like, this is just absolutely amazing. And I love that I'm seeing this. And then, like, there's this pause, and he's like, I'm really happy that I'm sharing this with you.
She leans in for a kiss.
And right when she does that, Vosh shows up at the same exhibition.
What? Seriously?
I don't know. Maybe.
Oh my God. Is it Vosh and Q at this point? I don't remember.
I don't know. I want to say Vosh is separate.
Okay.
Even if they are together, let's just say, if we want to go down this road, maybe he can say, like, okay, where's Q? And she's like, we're on a little bit of a break right now. Or something like that.
Yes. Cut to a couple years later when his cosmic clock is ticking.
What do you think of that idea? Do you want to introduce that aspect? Because we need to add some drama.
We do.
It doesn't have to be Vosh, but we do need to add some drama.
Oh, but Vosh is the perfect brand of drama, because nothing is worse than dealing with, I guess, an ex when you're just kind of getting into, and I would say they're entering into a new relationship here.
Yeah.
And she's here to basically ruin the very good time that they're having.
Here's why I don't want to make it life or death, because you and I wrote an episode for Voyager a long time ago where it was Janeway on shore leave.
Yes, we did.
And she didn't like going to the beach, kind of like Picard. And so she went into the woods with some guy she just met. And then they get lost. There's dangerous, and Chakotay tries to find her. That's why I don't want to do that here. So we're skirting the line with this.
Uh-huh.
But if we add in a bit of a love triangle, which I know is a trope, instead of the life or death, like get lost in the woods, I like the idea of making this a relationship drama instead of a will they perish drama.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think we need to be going with life and death either. I mean, that's every other week.
Right.
So who cares if the love triangle is a trope? A lot of romantic storylines are tropes. I mean, how many ways can you possibly twist the same kinds of things? So, all right, Vosh shows up and she's, oh, Jean-Luc, I didn't think I'd see you here. And he's like, yeah, feelings mutual. What are you doing here?
I love it because Jay leans in for a kiss, or at least they get like super close. Maybe not an explicit kiss, but they're super close.
Maybe they're leaning in.
Yeah, they're leaning. And then that's when the camera rack focuses and Vosh says, Jean-Luc. And then
cut to.
Yeah, that cut to Vosh, and it's that soap opera stare where everybody's staring for like 3 beats too long. And the music swells. Yeah,
yes.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, totally. It's playing in your head right now.
And then we come back from commercial. Vosh is there, and like, just like you said, like, oh, I didn't think I'd see you here. And he's like, yeah, no, neither did I. She's like, I'm assuming that the Enterprise is nearby. Yes, and he's like, who is this? And then Jay introduces herself. She is not intimidated by this person.
Oh, heavens no. This is Jay we're talking about.
This is Jay. She has nothing but self-esteem, but she knows exactly how this is going to go down. She is frustrated. She's upset, but she is not intimidated or no sheep is like, oh, who are you? It's like, yeah, I'm Lieutenant Jay. I'm with Captain Picard. You know,
yes.
That kind of business.
Yeah, I really like that. She is letting Vosh know, look, you're not going to F with me. You're not going to shake me. You're not going to push me around.
Yeah, it's clear.
This is what's going down right now. Yeah, she makes it very clear what's going on. Has no reservations about saying it.
So, like, do we want to go in the direction where maybe she knows who Vosh is? Because we first see Vosh in Captain's Holiday, which was in Season 3 of TNG. And the last time we saw her in TNG was in Season 4, at the end of Season 4. So this is after Jay comes on board. But the last time that we see Vosh altogether was in Deep Space Nine in Season 1. And so that was in early 93. And the Schisms episode that we're referencing was late 1992. So what we're talking about could conceivably be post Deep Space Nine, or it could be in between. It could be right before the Deep Space Nine episode. So she's still on the run from Q. Like she's separated, but she hasn't gone to Deep Space Nine yet.
Part of me wants to do pre-DS9 if we want to involve Q in this.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't really want to, because I think that could screw up some things in Deep Space Nine. Some continuity stuff.
Fair enough. What would be kind of interesting, though, is if Jean-Luc freaks out, seeing Vosh, thinking that Q is right behind her, basically. Like, did you bring Q with you here? What? Q? What are you doing here?
Q?
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. That conversation needs to happen. But I think Jay knows about Vosh because
totally
it's post Cupid.
Yeah, so she was around when Vosh left with Q.
Yeah, and so maybe this is so in this conversation where Vosh introduces herself to Jay, she goes, "Yeah, I know who you are."
Yeah, I remember.
And then she says, "Yes, you might remember who I am, but do you know who I am to Captain Picard?" And she kind of looks at him and she's like, "Yes, I do." And then she's super surprised. Vosh is really surprised. And she looks at Picard and says, "Really? You told her about us, but you didn't tell anybody else. You didn't even tell Riker about us." And he just kind of has this blank face. Like he's not admitting to anything.
Oh,
and so that's another way that the audience knows, holy crap, Picard is serious about this woman.
Yeah, totally. So then does Jay step in with something like, Jean-Luc and I have a very, I don't know, a very layered, very extensive, very deep friendship. We tell each other a lot of things. I don't know, that's not eloquent, but do you kind of get what I'm saying?
I think she could do it in a little bit more aggressive way without actually saying it. I think what she could do is where, like, after Vosh says, like, oh, I can't believe you told her about us, but you didn't tell anybody else on your crew. And he says, why are you here? Is Q here? She goes, no, I'm separated from Q. She said, you're right. You know, like, it was a bad idea. He was nothing but trouble. And she's like, yeah. And Picard goes, yeah, I figured it would happen this way. And then Vosh starts to infer, like, maybe we should get together. And Jay jumps in and says, you should totally join us for dinner. Jean-Luc and I were going to have dinner tonight. Maybe you should join us. And so, like, it's her way of saying, we had plans and I'm inviting you, not the other way around.
I'm going out of my way to try and help make this a little more comfortable. I like it. I like it. Because she's very much a diplomat. She's trying to make peace, even though this is a very delicate situation. Of course, it's got to go all wrong. Probably, but that's okay. We'll get there. But I like the idea of her being kind of the branch out instead of Jean-Luc.
Yes, yeah. And so, like, Jean-Luc is just kind of caught in this whirlwind where it's kind of like when it rains, it pours situation with him.
This might be one of those few times where we actually see Jean-Luc somewhat speechless.
Yeah, he's a little flustered. He does not know how to handle the situation. Like, he can handle first contact. He can handle diplomacy and war type situations, but for some reason, dealing with women, he just
he doesn't have a good knack. His track record is horrible.
Yeah.
Yes, this is not where he excels.
So we cut forward to Picard in his hotel room. Jay is not there. And he's by himself. He's getting ready for the night, and he's just like, oh my gosh. And so maybe he gets contacted by Riker or something like that, where he wants a status update on the ship. Like, they're that close enough that they can actually communicate.
Okay, fair enough.
And
just like a little daily roundup thing.
Yeah, and like, Riker is staying behind, and he's just like, hey, you know, like, hey, here's the daily status report like you requested, and how are things going? And he's like, meh. And
in pure Jean-Luc Picard fashion, yes. So then Riker, of course, picks up, what's wrong?
Yeah, he knows, you know, Riker's smart enough, and he doesn't answer again, and he's just kind of like, trouble with Lieutenant Jay? Is there something wrong? Do I need to send somebody else? He's like, no, please do not send anybody else. We have enough people here.
Don't make this worse, Riker.
And he's like, I got a surprise from an old friend. He's like, well, who? He's like, well, Vosh is here. He's like, Vosh? Does that mean Q's here? He's like, no, Q's not here.
Well, we're kind of repeating a little bit. I think maybe we need to have a little more of a subtle conversation where maybe Picard infers that an old flame is here. Okay. And
I like
this
that.
was not an expected visit. And to Riker, that's intriguing. His eyes light up and he's like, oh, really? Relationship drama, Oh, have fun with that.
Yeah,
you know.
I like that a whole lot better. Yeah, it can't, because that way we don't say Q again, because if we say Q again, then the audience is going to go, oh, we're totally going to see Q.
Right, and then like it's like that thing where if you say Biggie Smalls in the mirror 3 times, if you say Q 3 times, he's going to show up.
Yeah. Okay, so I like your idea a whole lot better.
All right.
And then like,
oh, maybe Riker asks, so he offers, like, do you want to talk about it? Maybe he can dispense some advice, and Jean-Luc is just like, no.
Yeah, he's like, no, just the daily reports, thank you very much, and he hangs up. And then he gets another call. He turns it on, and he's like, Riker, I told you I don't want to discuss it. And it's Lieutenant Jay, and she says, do you want to meet in the lobby in about 15 minutes? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. And then a second goes by, and the door chimes. And as he's walking there, he's like, I guess she wanted to meet here first. And the door's open, and it's Vosh.
Okay.
Vosh enters in without permission.
Well, yeah, this is Vosh.
What happens in this scene? What conversation do they have? Because she is curtailing Jay.
Yeah.
She's cheating. Like, she is not meeting up at dinner. She is meeting him first before dinner to try to establish precedence here. What happens in this conversation?
This is very good because this is very in character for Vosh. Vosh does not play by the rules, and so I think what she is there to do is settle the score with Jean-Luc. Let's rehash the romance.
Yeah.
Really, you feel nothing for me. We're done. You're really going to spark something up with this Jay of yours. I don't know if we want to go into a whole lot more. I mean, maybe Jean-Luc is flustered because all he can really say is, but you left with the Q. You left with that. You left with him of all people? Really? And I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? I'm stammering.
No. I think that's good. I think they need to rehash. Yeah, they need to rehash. We need a recap. We need to. They kind of talk about the relationship a little bit, and it's like this isn't gonna work. Where she says, she's like, oh, is it because of Jae? And she's like, no. Like Picard says, no, it's not because of Jae. It's because of you. You are the reason why this isn't gonna work. You and I don't work, and we need to stop. And then Vosh totally pulls on the charms and says like, hey, like when it works, it really does work and it's fine. I'm not with Q. You were right. I'm telling you, you were right. And she says something to the effect of, the such and such ruins are only 50 kilometers from here. Let's go right now. Let's go right now. Let's go do what you and I do best. Let's go explore. Let's go do this. And he struggles with it, and we see him struggle with it. And
I don't see him struggling, but keep going.
He's not struggling. He's intrigued. Like, we see it for a moment where he says, he's like, are you talking about the such and such ruins? She's like, I'm talking about the such and such ruins. And he pauses for a second. He's like, that would be wonderful to see.
I have an idea. Can I cut in with one little thing? Maybe
Yes.
There's a little more that Vosh knows than even what Jae and Picard know, where maybe there are even more artifacts uncovered than the public generally knows.
Yeah.
Something that was maybe even only mythical. They weren't ever sure if they were actually going to find it. They heard about it. Stories were told about it. But then lo and behold, it's uncovered. That is what intrigues Picard. And she says, I'll take you there right now.
Yeah.
But Picard has to say, I have a dinner date in 10 minutes, and I'm going to go to that.
Okay, we're going in the same direction, but let's do this.
Okay, keep going.
She says that. It's super intriguing, because I like that a lot. Like, she has to give him a reason. It's not just Vosh. It's got to be Vosh and archaeology.
Yeah.
And so she says this, and he is really intrigued, and there's a couple of beats. Picard is thinking about it. We cut to Jae sitting alone at the table at the restaurant.
Uh-huh.
She's by herself. She's waiting. She's clearly bored. And the audience is wondering, is she being stood up?
Yes.
But right when we're thinking that, Picard walks past the camera and sits down by himself.
Ooh, then where's Vosh?
And Jae asks, she's like, you're late. I was wondering if you weren't coming. And he's like, oh, no, I came. I clearly came. She's like, where's Vosh? She's like, what, you made me wait so long. I figured you went off somewhere with her. And he's like, well, she offered, but I'd rather be here.
Okay, that's an interesting way of putting it.
What?
I mean, no, I like it. I'm just, that coming out of Jean-Luc's mouth is more intriguing than just the words themselves.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, this is a big turn. And so, like, it surprises Jae. She's taken back. She doesn't know what to say. She's obviously speechless. And she's like, well, are you ready to order, Captain?
I like how she insinuates, would you like to order Captain? And he's going to have to come back with, no. Jean-Luc.
We're on the such and such planet. No Captain tonight.
Past still in effect.
And then, I want to do this, okay? I want to do it. All right, smash cut. Next morning.
Whoa! Oh, we just took a massive leap here.
Yeah, I did it, okay? I did it. Is that okay? Can we do it?
Let's do it!
All right, fantastic, because everything's just insinuated. Like, I don't even know if we know if Vosh slept with Jean-Luc. Do we know if Lieutenant Darren slept with Picard? I can't remember. Like, it's all kind of nebulous. Maybe.
Yeah, it's left to the imagination on purpose, I think, with both of those characters. It is insinuated, and the thing is, though, is you can come to your own conclusions, whatever they are.
But with this one, there is no conclusion. It is the next morning. They're in bed together, and
yeah, they're under a sheet, and they're not wearing anything. You know, that's sort of the soap opera trope.
Yeah, it is there, and they get up, and he's making breakfast. That old adage, like
old-fashioned. I like it.
Yeah, he's making breakfast, old-fashioned. No, no replicator or anything like that. And then his comm badge goes off, and it's Riker. He he puts his finger in front of his mouth to Jae, like, don't say anything. And he's like, Commander Riker, we got the daily report. I wasn't sure if you'd want it or not since you're coming back today. And Picard goes, wait, is today stardate blah 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 blah? He's like, yeah. It's like, did you honestly lose track of time? And
That's not like him, so
Yeah.
good call.
and then Picard's like, yeah, I guess I did. He's like, you must be having a good time. I will see you later. I'll see you later today. And then they have that conversation. Like, he hangs up, and then Picard and Jay have that conversation of, well, I guess we have to go back today. And they're kind of forlorn. They're like, I didn't really want this to end. But Jay is not weird about this whatsoever. She is aggressive. She's strong. We've established that. Picard is a little forlorn. So is she. But she's like, you know what? I'm really glad this has happened. I hope that you aren't regretful of this. And he's like, no, I don't regret this at all. But I'm sad because we need to have this conversation. This can't continue on the ship. This never happened when we go back to the ship. And she's like, you're right. Because here, I'm not a lieutenant, you're not a captain. But once we get back on that captain's yacht, once we leave this area of space, we got to pretend it never happened.
No. They don't have to pretend it never happened. They're just going to have to return to protocol.
Okay.
So I think her comeback is, he might have the approach of we should just basically go as if this didn't happen. She said, no, it did happen. And I'm so glad that we did. We're better off for it. But I totally understand, on the other hand, duty, protocol, Starfleet, all of those things, all the rules, the big handbook. I understand this is not going to happen again, which is why I'm all the more grateful that it happened in the first place. She puts a positive spin on it.
So much better. So much better. I like that. Picard brings it up. He says, we got to pretend like this never happened. And Jay's like, no, bull crap. This happened, and here's why it's awesome.
Gosh, and that's what makes Jay such a good match for him. I mean, she's really calling him out on all of his BS.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
It's such a shame that it can't continue.
And then we don't go to the yacht. We don't go back to Enterprise. We fade out.
I'm sorry, I'm not done yet. I just thought of more.
Okay, go for it.
But wait, there's more. I think we have to insinuate that under similar circumstances where the ranks of captain and commander do not apply, maybe we imply that maybe sometime in the future this could potentially happen again if the circumstances and the stars align and all of that jazz. On the ship, we're going to be friends. And if the opportunity comes up again, I'm totally down.
Well, let's make it a little bit more explicit. Well, explicit but subtle at the same time, where he's like, you know what? You're right. I'm glad that this happened, and I'm glad that we're on the same page that it can't continue. And she goes, you're right. But there's no law saying that we can't come back here someday for our next short leave.
Right. And in the meantime, do we want to say if somebody else comes along, pursue that romance where appropriate? I don't know if that really fits here or not, but at the same time, I don't want this to just feel like a recurring booty call. You know what I mean?
You know what? You're right. Let's not make this a recurring booty call. Let's not say this can happen again in the future. Let's just say Lieutenant Jay has that final word of saying, no, we cannot pretend that this never happened. This did happen. It was great. It was special. It was loving. But because of what we're doing, it cannot continue. And so it's not going to. And then they're on the same page. Credits fade out. That's what it is.
Okay.
That way it's not a booty call. That way they're not buddies.
Blank buddies. Yes.
They're not that. This is a situation that happened where two people came together. It was special. It was awesome, but it just can't happen again.
Right. Just because of the lives that they are leading in this particular moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now, overall, I would say if we pitch this story to if we pitched it to Paramount, the TNG writers, they'd say there's not nearly enough conflict.
Yes.
This feels maybe more like a fanfic to me, but at the same time, I still love this idea. I really do.
You're absolutely right. We did not expound enough on the conflict. There was not enough drama. I think if this was an actual episode, there would be way more scenes and way more situations with Vosh and Picard. Mm-hmm. There would be, maybe they would go to that dig site, or maybe there would be some life and death. There would be a whole lot more. But you're right.
There would have to be some sort of clear and present danger.
We more than dipped our toes in fan fiction. We started swimming around in the shallow end. Yeah.
No, I'd say we dove into the deep end. And I am totally cool with that because you know how much I love fanfic.
Well, there you go. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please go to thenerdparty.com for all of our other episodes, as well as all of our other shows. We got so much stuff out there for you to listen to. We got Star Trek. We got Star Wars. We got General Geekdom. We got a show that I host with my wife where we talk about married geek life. We got this show. It's so much fun doing things at the Nerd Party. And you need to subscribe. You need to listen. And please, if you could, go to iTunes, give us a review. If you give us a 5-star review, we will mention you on the podcast. We're going to do that next week with all the people who have written us a review so far. And so hold on to that. But if you could, please find us on Twitter at Join Nerd Party, and also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Nerd Party. Give us a like there. We're so close to having 2,000 fans, and that would be really great to break that milestone.
Woo!
Now, Char, where can we find you online?
You can find me on the Twitter, and my handle is the Profanity. How about you?
You can find me at the Insane Robin all over the place. Again, thank you so much for listening. I cannot wait until next week where we can maybe have another hall pass and punch it up.
Ready for warp, sir. Let's punch it.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.